one more time in overtime. Good evening, everyone. It is Monday night, November 25th, 2015, and the San Jose Sharks have done it again. They have found a way to win it in overtime. This time, your hero is Patrick Marleau. He gets the overtime winner, and the Sharks win their third straight overtime game. And guess what, folks? They're back into a playoff spot. Welcome to Teal Town After Dark. This is your live and interactive Sharks post-game show. This is live and interactive, so chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on our YouTube chat on the page or the app. You can also follow us on the social at Teal Town USA, and of course that means Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, SoundCloud, Reddit, and of course for more Sharks content, hit us up at tealtownusa.com. Hi, how's it going? Puck Guy here, running it solo tonight. Got some guys that are on the flu-like symptoms, so we hope they are feeling a little bit better tonight. But a win is a win, even though if it did give us, I don't know, nightmares of hashtag it was 3-0 of all the wrong reasons. So I'll be looking into the chat tonight a lot for you since we're running it this way. I'll be coming to you a lot more in there. Let's go with what you got so far. Patty continues to be the king killer. Yeah, he seems to be doing his thing against the Kings, as always. Patrick Tyler, somehow San Jose is in a playoff spot. Go figure. Go figure. And that's not the only crazy thing that happened in the NHL tonight. So, yep. Somehow, SJ somehow has leapfrog Vegas. Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things, So, Sharks go on the road for one game road trip, really, for LA, and then they'll head back home to take on Winnipeg on Wednesday. And then they'll play the Kings again on Friday, on Black Friday. So let's get at it. Is it 11-1 in Shimmick? I want to say yes. I think they've won now 9 of their last 10 with the victory here tonight. So let's get at it. So 5:53, Erik Karlsson. Yes, that Erik Karlsson. Bang with a sweep snipe. I mean, I'm telling you, didn't look like there was much when you saw the RoboCam from center ice that Erik Karlsson buries one past Jonathan Quick to make it 1-0. Slowly but surely, he's starting getting his game around and leading shot blocker on the team, and we'll talk more about that as well tonight. Definitely taking his pain, definitely taking his gain with the goal there. His third of the season, that was from Couture and Kane to make it 1-0. And then, we have a super chat here. Skylar Greenberg, $2. Thank you very much. Sharks win. Puck Guy isn't the sick one. Hashtag miracles. Oh, one of us Erics has to be around here. We got to make it happen, especially when Erik Karlsson scores the goal tonight, right? So, Rob Iman, is Shimmick the Sharks version of Jimmy G? I'm not going to go that far. I've been up and down with Shimmick lately, although his presence in the alignment reaps huge benefits, for sure. Just another Randy G. 4-10-1 seems like a bad dream at this point. Yep. 12-11-1, or excuse me now, 13-11-1. So The boys in Teal are getting on a roll big time. So let's continue on here at 7:31. The Shalana Goldman special here. Hella dudes on the frozen pond for the Los Angeles Kings. That sets up a Sharks power play. Had some good chances, but nothing really getting it done tonight for sure. At 17:54, Radim Shimmick would take a hooking call. That would set up a Kings power play. Didn't go well for them this time around. And honestly, their power play didn't do anything. So, I am getting a phone call. I wonder who this could be. Landy, is that you?
That's me.
Hang on. Landy, is that you?
That's me.
There we go. Eric Landy joining in here. You're making it through, but of course I need to change your name. You are not AJ Strong.
No, I am not.
So while we do that, Eric, hi bud. Our namesake scores again to make it 1-0 after one period.
Yeah, I figured since, he scored, I should probably hop on and we'll get the trifecta of Eric's going, right?
Yep, definitely. California Cruise and anyone else going to the game on Friday, I will see you there, my friend. So come and say hi. I don't. Definitely there. What did you think of the first period? I thought the Sharks, even despite getting outshot 11-8, looked pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, I think their neutral zone play was really evident and really strong in that first period. The shots that I did see kind of go in were coming in from the point, and very easy to save. Very easy for Jones to kind of spot. As far as that goes, they were limiting their chances to really low danger shots, and I liked that out of the defensive scheme tonight.
Yep, definitely, indeed, and they definitely have been a lot more defensively sound lately. At least just watching them, they look like they've been doing a lot. Well, it's one of the running jokes we've had for years. California Cruising. Have you folded your laundry, Landy?
Well, I just did a whole bunch of new laundry, so it's sitting over here on the bed, which I changed my angle this season. So, it's kind of an optical illusion. It's there, but you can't see it.
It's part of the mojo, I guess you could say. It it was it wasn't folded when we were 4-10-1. Now they're on a roll, you know. Just
It's the luck.
say,
It's the lucky laundry.
right? So Landy, thank you for jumping in. He's one of the ones with the flu-like symptoms, so
Yeah,
I'm glad you're not next to me. I'll say that for sure.
yeah, for sure. I was out for the count there for a little bit. I had that stomach flu going on, and I had that just yeah, we have
And
some more
flying
laundry.
pillows going all over the
Some
place.
more laundry coming in. No, I was had that stomach flu that was kind of going around, and I've had some congestion and stuff like that. So I'm on the mend.
All right.
And yeah, we're able to push through, I guess.
Yep. Rob Hyman, Teal Town should do its own 3 stars of the game. Yeah, we might have to get to that point because we would actually be realistic about it. So we'll get to that in just a jiffy. So second period now. Drew Doughty takes a big time hack on LeBanc going in. Almost thought that might have been a penalty shot. Sets up the Sharks' last power play opportunity of the night, and no, I mean the Sharks' power play has kind of gone on a little cold bit here, but
Hey, it's kind of hard to like really be good on the power play when you're not getting them.
right,
So, I don't know. That power play looked good as far as a movement standpoint. Um, I think the first power play was a lot better, but the second one wasn't too bad. But I kind of felt at the latter half, you saw Burns kind of stay on a little too long for my liking. I wish that they would have swapped out Eric Carlson a little bit quicker.
Yep.
And you could definitely see that in the forward core as well. Just not really having a lot of I would say urgency through their movement of the puck.
Right.
So really, I think on the latter half of that power play, it kind of fizzled out.
Yeah. Uh, I love this. We've got the running joke now for the sickness going in. Phantom's got flu-like symptoms too,
Oh
and,
no.
and like half the team when talking about it to PDB, he's listed day to day. So that's always good. California Cruising saying he's a healthy scratch. Oh boy. Well, so now you know what it's like to be Tim Heat. It seems like. But moving onward, the Sharks would go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to respond to Sleepy Mofo with the question. So we're going to get on Steve's spot about the lack of goals on the power play. Again, that first power play looked good as far as their movement, and I've liked the power play in which in their movements and just using the umbrella to great effect. I really think that it has more to do with the lack of drawing calls and not getting as many reps on the power play in game time versus anything else. I'm not worried about the power play right now. And you look at the penalty kill, it has been just the stalwart all season. I mean, the only consistent part of the game that has been, from game one. So,
Yeah.
I am not ready to start waving the emergency flag yet. So yeah, that's kind of my take on that.
Yeah. I mean, it is a concern because they do go 0 for 2 tonight. And looking at my numbers and chat, tell me if I'm wrong. In the last 6 games, they are without a power play goal, but they've only had 8, 10, 11, 13 chances, while their opponents have had 11, 14, 16, 19, 23 chances on the power play, and only 1 goal allowed. So kudos to the Sharks penalty kill for getting it done. Definitely something that they want to look forward to. Something else they want to look forward to is not taking bad tripping calls, and we're seeing this. Brendan Dillon at 3:30 of the second period in Landy. We've seen this kind of creep into their game. Is that they've been kind of taking the lazy plays, the hooking, the tripping calls, the holding calls lately, and that's what's getting them into PK trouble. So
Yeah, and a lot of the calls, you know, there were a few questionable ones tonight, for sure. But again, you've got to make your breaks. And when the Sharks are not moving their feet, they get themselves into penalty trouble. And I'm wondering, just because the 7D works from a standpoint of winning the game, I'm wondering if maybe the forwards are a little bit more tired because of getting taxed a little bit more, therefore taking those kind of tripping and hooking and obstruction penalties because they are trying to slow the game down because they are a little bit tired. So, I think you're having the chicken and egg kind of conversation here. Does it come from because there's not as much forward depth, so they're taking the penalties on that, or is it the other way around where, because they're getting into penalty trouble, they're not able to kind of roll consistent lines and therefore taxing the PKers even more. And I'd be interested to see from a perspective of who is taking these obstruction penalties. Are these penalty killers that are taking these penalties, or is it I know I've seen LeBanc take quite a few lately.
oh boy, yeah.
And so it kind of wonders. I wonder if somebody can in the chat can do us a little quick stats.
I'm just going through my stat sheet. He had Shimmick, Dillon, Gambrell, Sorensen, and too many men tonight alone.
Yeah, so those are penalty killers, right? I mean, so again, it's going to be a challenge, especially with the forward depth that the Sharks have at the moment, or lack thereof.
Yep.
And so they're just going to have to kind of fight through it. But really, they got to keep moving their feet.
Yep. JF Turner saying to both of us, the lazy penalties are happening because they are due to PDB's lineup. Needs to change quickly or they'll be burned out.
I agree. I agree. Rob Iman with the free Noah Gregor. Um, LD Shark with a little bit of the conspiracy theory there on the refs calling us out.
I might be with him because I mean, like I said, you're it's 23-12 in the last 6 games for penalties. I mean, it might be a little bit of a combination of both. You know,
Also I think I think that there's still that Evander Kane penalty, reffing penalty, because it seemed like, especially last game, they were not getting any kind of benefit of the doubt. And so I'm wondering if they're still paying a price for taking out one of the refs. And again, the whole Weidman incident, it's different, yes, but there was definitely a penalty tax, so to speak, that Calgary had to pay, and that lasted at least half of the season. So it could be, but I think it also has to do with the lack of depth. I really do think that, especially with the types of penalties they're taking.
yeah, and that's gonna hurt them down the road. But you know what won't hurt them down the road? A hot Timo Meier.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
boy, talk about a guy who really needed to step it up, and bring in it tonight for sure.
yeah, at 6:19, he gets his seventh from LeBanc and Eric Carlson. LeBanc with a sweet cross ice pass to feed to Timo. He buries in there to make it 2-0, and then just a minute 26 later, Timo again with a nice dish from LeBanc to Brendan Dillon. Dillon's with a beautiful thread to Neal pass for Timo to slide it in to make it 3-0. Um, I mean, Timo, I think I have it here. His seventh multi-goal game. He had 5 last year. This is the first one, obviously, this year. And 6 goals in his last 10 games. Starting to really come around and really showing that the value of that contract that he signed.
Yeah, and Timo has been notoriously streaky, and that's just kind of the way that he has been through his career. So getting him, you had Jamie Baker come out onto the broadcast tonight and basically say when he simplifies his game, that's when he's on and playing the best. And I agree with that. I think that when Timo Meier is using, all of his physical attributes, whether it's his speed, whether it's that tenacious forecheck that he can dish out, and laying out the hits, and you don't have to go looking for hits, but making the hits when they're applicable.
Right.
And when he's doing that and engaging himself physically, the mental game comes along with it. So if he can continue to keep his game simple, continue to go park himself in front of the net, use that fabulous wrist shot that he's got, he's going to get back on pace. And dare I say it, I think he already is back on pace for a 30-goal season. So just continue to do those little things. And, also an underrated part of his game this year is his defensive game. I've really, really enjoyed Timo and Barclay Goodrow together. I think Barclay Goodrow's hard work ethic is starting to rub off on him, and so maybe that was just the right guy to put Timo with. And I've been high on Barclay, all throughout the season. I think we've talked to it so many times, but that overtime goal in Vegas, really, he's just a different player. He's a different player,
Yep.
And he's a bona fide second liner now. And he's doing a fairly good job at holding down the fort while Hartle's gone.
Yep, definitely. Jordan Furtado, who were the 3 stars? The number 3 star was Anze Kopitar. He had the tying goal in tonight's game. Then it was, oh gosh, why am I drawing a blank all of a sudden? I am drawing a blank all of a sudden. Oh, Adrian Kempe. He had I believe he had a 2-goal night. Or wait, was it 2 goal? No, he had a 2-point night. Excuse me.
Yeah, goal and assist, I think.
Yeah, and Patrick Marleau, with the overtime winner. I don't know. I'm just not sure about that. So, you know,
And it's interesting too because between Anaheim and LA, I've always thought that LA were the more I would say that they definitely are less biased than Anaheim. I've always had a problem with the way Anaheim, whoever's the scorekeeper there, who picks the stars. I've always had an issue with them because it just seems like, it's more homer than normal. And I've always
Right.
thought LA has they've done a fairly good job. I know we've had the we've definitely had the battles in many years against LA, but I've always thought that they've been pretty fair as far as from the statisticians' point of view.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I think you give Kempe the number. Maybe if you're from LA, I would give Kempe maybe the number 2 star for his 2 point night. But you definitely gotta get Timo in there. He got 2 goals
Right.
tonight to make it happen, and then Couture with the game winner. That seems good to me in that sense. But it was at a 3-0 lead against Los Angeles, Landy.
Yeah.
It was it was oh
Yeah,
boy.
you could see it coming. I mean, they looked like a team that was content with the 3 goals. They looked like they stopped really riding that forecheck, and they allowed LA to keep coming back in. But I think what the biggest difference that we saw was just how the Sharks were not clearing the net in that latter half of the second period, especially with the last minute to go. You had a king all alone in front of the net, and it's just whenever you leave a guy unmarked that close to the goaltender, it's 9 times out of 10 going to end up in the back of your net, and there it goes.
Yep. And sure enough, at 18:59, Adrian Kempe gets started with his 2 point night, getting one in with right before. And what sucks is that you know how we had taco minutes for a moment there. They have the McFlurry minute. They score the goal at 101 left in the second period, not 1 minute in, just a shade under. So no McFlurries for any Kings fans tonight there, but they gained some momentum after 2 periods. And then the third period, my goodness, LA was just all over the Sharks in the third period. Sad to say, but I think at one time it was like 10-3 in shots on goal. It ends up being 16-6, and you know Jones had 4 big stops on the Kings early on when they were starting to put the pressure on. You even saw guys like Eric Carlson blocking shots, taking a puck to look like the side
Back
of
of
the
the knee.
leg. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
back of
and and there's not a whole lot of padding on the backside of the leg. He stayed on the bench though, and honestly, he seemed like he didn't face him, but just that big,
everybody. I
dent.
think everybody in Sharks Land took a big deep breath until we saw him on his next shift for sure. Because boy, you hope that everything's okay with the legs and the knees with that guy, because he is brittle at times, and especially with the legs, the knees, the groin. And it's just like, oh boy, that's just all we need is another injury, right?
Yep, exactly. And you talk about knees, and sure enough, Dustin Brown shows up. He gets the goal.
Great segue.
Thank you. 8:31 into the third period, Dustin Brown frickin' shows up. He's like, "Ooh, knees? Well, I think we need a deficit down to 1," and he does that with his fifth of the season from Iafallo and Kopitar. So Kopitar had a 2 point night as well to make it 3-2 Sharks. But then they kept getting momentum going and going. 10:50, Marcus Sorensen takes an iffy interference call. We saw PDB on the bench saying that's an effing dive.
I look at that one again, and I am in agreement with Jamie on this one as far as how you're supposed to box out a player. We've seen that we've seen that the forwards tend to try and make themselves as big as possible using their stick, kind of putting it horizontally across their bodies, especially when trying to block somebody out. and it's been a pretty effective tool, and has not been called in other games. And that one to me was just one of those ones that's just like, come on, guys. Like, especially with the amount of time left in the period, you don't want to have the referees,
Yep.
dictating the outcomes of games. And that one to me, if it's just too close to call, put the whistles away. If it's a ticky tacky or too close to call, especially with less than 10 minutes left in a game, just put the whistle away.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the Sharks get called out on that one and barely hold it together on that PK. I mean, you could see that they were kind of gasping for life at the end of that one.
Yep. And just a couple of seconds after the penalty kill or the power play expires, Anze Kopitar with his 10th of the season ties this game up at 3-3. Place is going nuts in LA. You're thinking, oh my gosh, great. Just to reiterate the it was 3-0 hashtag on Twitter from King's Twitter. Gosh, not again. Then you see Meier getting shaken up after a bounce back shift, which I thought was nice. But then 1856 with a minute 4 left in the game, you're going to call hella dudes on a frozen pond penalty? Get out of here with that.
Yeah. And again, it was you look at the replay, and the Sharks only have 4 guys on the ice. When even with their guy hopping off, there's only 4 guys on the ice, and they end up calling that. Oh boy, those are the ones that you just scream at the TV like, what are the refs thinking there?
Yeah.
And normally Wes McCauley has been pretty straight up with the Sharks.
Oh yeah, big time.
I think he's always been a guy who has had, I think most across the league he's really respected, and I think one of the refs that really does call a good, clean game. But man, they were off tonight on the reffing, in my opinion. And boy, man, that PK just continues to bail it out.
Yep, and they would take that into overtime, where the Sharks would bail it out. Hey, even Erik Karlsson tried to see if he could end it early in overtime, going up against Drew Doughty. Definitely got a shot off, but at least there was an attempt there to do that. And then after the power play was over, Sharks get that. Patrick Marleau bangs it home. Jonathan Quick way out of position there. He gets the game-winning goal at why is it not showing up here? At
I believe it's like 2.5 minutes in.
Yeah, 2:35 of overtime.
Yep.
So about halfway there, you bang it in, and that's how this game gets ended. Michael Meier with the Super Chat donation. Definitely thank you so much. That helps support the show when you do that on there. Appreciate it immensely. Another area for expanded video review. No.
You know what? I mean, I'm of the opinion that they need to take out video review at this point. In some instances, I think there's too much, and I think it affects the flow of the game. And so I like the human element to games. I always enjoyed that in baseball. I've even though we have gotten really jobbed on penalties before, I think it's a part of the game, and it's just something that you have to fight through as a team. So I'm in the other camp of let's reduce the amount.
And now we're getting some quotes in the locker room, and this is going to be interesting, folks. PDB had mentioned it beforehand about how long can they go with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen, and he wasn't sure. Maybe they could go a couple more games. Tough to do going back-to-back later this week with LA and Arizona after Thanksgiving. But Couture with a comment tonight, playing 11 forwards, the last few may be wearing down some guys, and the kills are just wearing us all down. Sharks need to find a way to be disciplined. Let me put that back up. Sharks need to find a way to be disciplined, Eric. And the other part, too, is they need the guy. They need that 12th guy to get them done. Get 12 forwards, 6 defensemen on board.
You know what? And in talking about it, I've really liked Antti Suomela being called up. I've liked his game. Um, when he's not a scoring threat, you can definitely see he's worked on his defensive game for sure.
Yep.
So I think that Antti Suomela could be the answer at fourth line center going forward. Getting Hurdle back will also slot a player down, so that will give you back a 12th forward if you keep
Right.
Suomela. Um, you know, we've talked about it again. It's the Achilles heel of the Sharks, and whether or not the Sharks are going to be able to acquire a forward, because right now, I mean, as everybody's kind of going through the chat, PDB has no faith in Noah Gregor. I don't think he would play your Tykin.
No.
Chmelevski and Chekovich have not done very well this season on the Barracuda, so there's really not a lot that they can do. So I think it's going to be up to Doug to try and wheel and deal. And who comes at the expense of that? I don't know, but you've got to have money in, money out for sure.
Yep.
And a deal is definitely not the option. I think you need to send him down and get that money off the cap. I don't think Dalton Prout was ever, it should have ever been a realistic option.
Right.
So getting him sent down, I think would also be important, although he's on injured reserve, so he doesn't count against the cap right now. But the Sharks need to figure out a way to get a forward, and they need a guy, I think, who is both a little bit of a physical adjutant, but can also chip in the odd goal, because there's not a lot of offense coming from that fourth line. And the Sharks, if they're going to be successful with PDB as the head coach, they need to have 4 lines that they can roll and feel comfortable with.
Yep.
Keeping Evander Kane at 25 minutes a night is not a recipe for success.
No.
Again, with Logan Couture and how many minutes he's taken, and guys, I mean, they not only play the easy offensive minutes, but they play hard penalty killing minutes.
Yeah.
And
like prime example, Evander Kane at 326, shorthanded. Let's see, Logan Couture played over 4 minutes of penalty kill. Barclay Goodrow, nearly 20 minutes tonight, and 5:16 of that was on the penalty kill. So you're seeing where it's getting distributed here. I mean, everybody was in the teens except Dylan Gambrell at 11:19, and he did half a minute of penalty kill. And Antti Suomela, who, 6:23. So.
Yeah. Again, I think that it's going to take some time with Suomela to get, to kind of get acclimated, and for actually Peter DeBoer to be acclimated to Suomela. I think that's the real crux of the argument here. But again, this is not sustainable, right? And I don't think it ever was going to be something sustainable, but in the stretch of difficult games, it's going to be even more paramount that they address this.
Yep.
And so I don't think that they can do this against Winnipeg, and quite frankly, the back-to-back, I don't see how they're going to continue to be able to roll this.
Right. Something's going to have to give within these next few games. I mean, you're going into a scenario where you're going to have 3 games in 4 nights. You're also going to have Thanksgiving in there, so who knows what the plan is for the team there, where what they're going to eat and such. So, and one of them's an afternoon game. I mean, you have a 1 p.m. start and a 5 p.m. start, so that can play a bit of a factor as well in that one.
And we all know how the Sharks do on those 1 p.m. starts.
Yeah.
It's not great. So again, I think it's going to be of paramount importance that they get another forward, and they're going to have to address this.
John with a super chat donation. Thank you very much. What was up with Burns tonight? Brent Burns played 24:06. Had only just one shot on goal. Played nearly 4.5 minutes of PK time, 2:39 on the power play. Just didn't seem like he was able to get it going tonight.
Yeah, he wasn't. He didn't seem very comfortable on the ice at all. Really, making decisions in his own zone that were of the, oh God, don't throw me the puck in my own defensive zone, Brent Burns, right? Just was not comfortable on it tonight, and I I don't know. Maybe he's going through a little something, got a little nick, or got something going on,
Yeah,
maybe. But it definitely looked like he was not comfortable in his own zone, and that was for sure. It looked like he was kind of scared of getting hit.
right.
So I'm wondering if he's maybe nursing something we don't know about.
Who knows? And a lot of people talking about the other things that Brent Burns is a part of. Our power play is boring and predictable. This will be our downfall. I agree. The Sharks in the playoffs have always been successful. Excuse me. um, when they've had a successful power play. Otherwise, teams are just going to take liberties, and it's going to hurt them in the long run. Sleepy Mofo adding in plus they play 3 straight overtimes, which extend their time on ice.
So in regards to the special teams, I know that people have been really hounding on the power play. Something that Jamie Baker brought up many years ago, and it's something that's kind of stuck with me, is if you take your penalty kill and add it to your power play percentage and you have above a 100%, your special teams are doing pretty good. Right now, I believe the Sharks are somewhere in the neighborhood of 110% with a 90.5 or almost 91% on the kill. And then I believe their power play is hovering in the either in the 19s or the 20s.
Yeah, it's going down a little bit now. It's definitely in the teens.
So, it's above 100%. So, as long as you can cash in every, 1 out of 4 power plays, I'm happy with that. That'd be a 25%. So, and with the penalty kill the way it is, I'm more apt to say, look, I'd rather have the better penalty kill now than the power play.
Yep. Couple of comments coming in. DeBoer, I loved our first 39 minutes. We took too many penalties tonight, and they came hard down the stretch. Yep, pretty. Couldn't have said it much easier myself. PDB. He went on to say there were a lot of gutsy efforts, but our game still isn't where I think it needs to be. Yeah, I mean you've won 9 of 10, which is great and all. We'll talk about the standings in just a little bit about what they've done in the last 10 games, which is terrific. But they've been successful. They're back into a playoff spot, Landy. But yeah, there's still some work that needs to be done.
Yeah, and I saw Rob Iman in the chat kind of going through and saying DW should be playing the waiver wire, and I totally agree. I think that's going to be a tool that the Sharks are going to need to use. I know that in the past they have been reluctant to use the waiver wire.
Right.
I remember, I think it was. I remember a Kyle Wellwood, I think, coming in on the waivers. I'm not.
Hey, Michael Haley.
Michael Haley on the
Last
waivers. Yeah, so that again, that is an option. Right now, the Sharks are not too bad actually, as far as cap space goes. They have 1.2 million, so they can add a forward, and especially if they push Lukas Radil back down to the Barracuda, he's making 700K, so that's about 2 million in cap space that you've got. To add a waiver wire pickup. Maybe you can swing a trade and get some retained salary on the other team. So it's not the cap space issue is not as bad,
right,
as it has been, but definitely need to do something.
Yep. We got a lot of super chats. We're gonna get to you all in just a sec here. We'll start off with Justin of the Randy G. Thank you very much. Are we going to ignore the fact that Jones had a 917 save percentage? No.
We're gonna
We
we'll get into the goalie situation in a minute.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of Joners tonight for sure. And this one, Timo Meier, over the last few games, we've way too many penalties, but our PK has been good. Yes, that's great. But it can be better. Andy Man, 19.5% on the power play, 91.4% of the PK. That's amazing. And you always want to be over 100 with your power play ratio or your special teams ratio. The super chat from John: Burns totally blocked Jones' vision on that one goal. Yeah, wasn't exactly the best there. A little bit of rebound ones, but that's what set up the entire goal for the Kings to tie it up. Yes, this one was, of course, great. Randy Hahn, I never blocked a shot, but I awkwardly bumped into a bar stool once. And Jimmy Baker goes, once, don't underestimate yourself. That was great. It was priceless tonight. Thank you for getting that.
What did you think of the broadcast with Kendall Coyne being on the broadcast once again?
I think she's doing good. She's still working at the Kings, but I think she's progressively getting better and better.
I like her. I like her interjections. I think for me though, it's still trying to pick her spot. Kind of, trying to tag team in on, when Randy and Jamie, because they have a really good rapport.
Right.
So trying to get in something, I think she's still maybe a little bit hesitant, but overall, I'm liking the addition to the broadcast, having another player, and then setting up for that Randy, that little Randy joke there, who's like, I've never blocked a shot, but. So I'm definitely digging her on the broadcast. I think picking her spots I think would be the only critique that I have. But yeah, I think it's good to hear another voice.
Yeah. So let's getting back to the goaltending, because that is one of the big issues here, and has been Jones with. We've had 3 straight solid performances between Jones and Dell, whether it was Vegas, the Islanders, and the Kings. It just seems like they've done well, and let's also credit the defense. Yeah, we aren't seeing the fancy, shots and stuff, but Erik Karlsson with 5 blocks. We don't usually talk about it, You see Marc-Edouard Vlasic, who's starting to get better. That combination has worked. It's finally come together. Pickles had 3 blocks tonight, and Dylan with 2 blocks in just 15:33 of time. So there's definitely a lot going there with the defense and the goaltending as well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the biggest kind of statistic that has come out of these really good goaltended games, is the fact that Jones comes back, I think, with a 912 or better save percentage after, a good start by Aaron Dell. And again, Jones has always been a player who plays his best when he is being pushed from below.
Right.
And, it's so important that the Sharks have that second player that's pushing Jones. We saw it going into the Stanley Cup playoffs when the Sharks went to the Cup final, just how good Reimer was, and how that really jump started Jones to push him to be better. So, that's going to be key for those two, is for them to keep pushing each other. It might be nice to see Deller maybe get the start against the Jets, to keep him fresh going into that back-to-back.
Right.
I'd like to see for Dell to get the start, and then you start Jonesy against the Kings again, because he's always got good stats against the Kings, and then play Dell against the Yotes. So, I think that is so paramount to the way that goaltending works here in San Jose, is just having, a goaltender who pushes each other. And I think that that's what's going to be key. It's going to be nice to see Jones pull his save percentage out of the 880s finally. I think he's somewhere, I think, hovering in like 892. So, it's good to see him kind of put some positive, some positive spins. But honestly, Eric, I think the biggest thing is just the lockdown defense the Sharks have played in the last, all aside tonight. I think that they played a fairly good defensive game, except for that lapse with the minute left, and then the last 20 minutes of tonight's game. But they've been playing really locked down defensively. So I think that. Amongst anything else is a big key and a big driver to why they're playing better.
Yeah. Definitely getting some comments in the chat that are just pretty outstanding and pretty bad. Stay classy, people. We are not all gifted broadcasters. I obviously look at all of us. So, but yeah, does she still need some polish to work on? Yeah, of course. I totally think so. But you know what? AJ saying, would be nice to see some reps with Nolenberger on the CUDA. Yeah, definitely. But it's also, I think also with her notoriety, I think it's just definitely trying to get her into the NHL. But I get what you're trying to get at. But yeah, she's getting there. She's definitely getting there. So just
yeah, and I mean, we look at Jamie's first year. Right. Jamie's first year was not very good on the broadcast. I think he didn't have a lot of reps with Randy, consistent reps. I know that
right.
he's been on and especially the first year after Drew, wasn't tendered a contract.
Right.
It was going to be hard for anybody to kind of step in. So, good on the team for being proactive and getting another voice on the telecast. I think that's really a progressive move. And it's again, we've seen the NHL start to kind of move out of the dark ages with the you can play, and now with the rumblings of supporting women's hockey a little bit more.
Yep.
So,
and like Patrick Tyler says, not everyone can be Tony Romo.
Right.
It's
right.
True.
So, as far as Kendall goes, she's going to get there. It's just going to take some reps.
Right.
And again, she's got you can tell that she's definitely got a lot of good experience that she can bring to the broadcast. It's just picking her spots, kind of like a defenseman, right? You got to pick your spots.
It's kind of like interjecting when you're interjecting with a pair that already knows what they're doing. Let me reemphasize that. A pair of guys who have worked together for quite a long time. So, wow, Aaron Martin, you stay classy, pal. So, yeah, that's great. Anywho, before I really want to go off on some sorry idiots, you know what? Let's get to the final stats of the night, so that way we can move on from this and go from there. So final shots, 36-25 in favor of Los Angeles. Power plays, LA was 0 for 5. San Jose was 0 for 2. The Sharks have only allowed one power play goal in their last 6 outings, which is great to see. Hits 24-21. Obviously, the Vegas hit counter is not in play. Blocks 20-12. The giveaways 12-8 on that one. So I think overall a great night.
Yeah, no, I think they're on the positive side of the possession ledgers for sure, especially with the lopsided first and second period. So it's good to see the giveaways brought down. Good to see the blocks up. And the face-off percentage is a little low, but again, you don't win them all every night. So good on the Sharks for kind of sticking with it, and especially not getting discouraged in that overtime period. they could have easily crumbled, and we've seen that movie before, especially in the House of Horrors that is Staples. So, good on them, and especially for Patrick Marleau, because he had been a little bit on side, so to speak.
Definitely. Joanna Trachtenberg making 1 point clear. Meier went high on quick. So did Carlson. Carlson's shot was perfect right there. All right, with that, is it time?
Oh yeah.
Have the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around.
And it's definitely a wraparound tonight. A number of things going on in the NHL, definitely benefiting the Sharks for sure. But first, we'll start off in Tampa, where the Lightning beat the Sabres, who have started to cool off a little bit. 5-2, the final there. If your last name ended with a V, you were in good shape tonight with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Kucherov scores 13 seconds into the game. Sergachev follows that up at 7:20. Definitely a big win for Vasilevsky and the Lightning in that one. In Manhattan, former Shark Alex Stalock takes the loss in overtime as D'Angelo gets his 7th of the season to give the Rangers a 3-2 victory over the Minnesota Wild. In Philly, the Flyers win 2-1 thanks to Jacob Voracek's 6th goal this season. Vancouver only gets JT Miller's 10th of the season as the lone goal. The Canucks lose. That keeps them at 28 points there. In Pittsburgh, the Penguins beat the Flames 3-2. Jake Gensel with the overtime winner in that one. The Flames do pick up a point on that one, though.
Yeah, so just quickly interjecting on that game, and just on the Calgary Flames in general, do we see any kind of changes there? I know that, especially in the chat, kind of saying, maybe a shakeup is necessary in Calgary, but maybe one of the most disappointing teams right now, especially in the Western Conference.
Yeah, and there was even a breakaway. I know AJ gifted on our Twitter. Definitely at us at Teal Town USA. With Gaudreau skating in all alone and totally not even getting a shot off. He loses the puck on a breakaway there. So definitely some changes made. Hey, Mike Babcock is available. So
especially when you already have the kiss of death for their coach, right? I think that they came out and saying that they didn't want to do any kind of coaching changes or whatever.
Right.
So we all know what that means.
Yeah. Fanatical Teal Bleer saying, shh, Calgary is fine. Let them be. So, Columbus 1-0 over the Ottawa Senators. The only goal coming from Bjorkstrand 21 seconds into the third period. The Blue Jackets go to 24 points. The Sens only a point back. So that'll be interesting there. Nashville wins in a shootout 3-2. Saros gets the victory over Jake Allen. The Blues now are at 14-5-6. So, moving on, the Vegas Golden Knights. The Vegas Golden Knights are at NHL 500 at 11-11-4. They lose 4-2 to hottest team in the NHL. That's not the Sharks or the Islanders, for that matter. Radulov with a pair of goals. Dickinson and Lindell with it in that one. The streak comes to an end for the New York Islanders. The Islanders get shut out 3-0 by John Gibson and the Anaheim Ducks. So the streak ends at 17 games. That's just unbelievable. Getzlaf, Cam Fowler, and Andre Kasha with the goals for the Ducks. That gets them to 11-11-3 on the campaign there. And we told you about the Sharks and the Kings in that one. Standings-wise, definitely a lot has changed, over the last little bit since the Sharks have gone on this 3-game winning streak.
Yeah, they've gone on quite the tear. I think it's 9 of 10 games won.
Yep.
The Sharks have vaulted themselves back into contention, and just completely rewrote the script, going from belly up to predator once again, right? I mean, the Sharks really have whatever they have done insofar as commitment back to the system, commitment to playing better defensive hockey has really, really helped them out. And, such a big milestone for them to get back into playoff position prior to Thanksgiving. We all know that is like the magical time insofar as, playoff positioning and being in a playoff spot come Thanksgiving. So the Sharks have done that, basically rewritten the script from the beginning of the season, played some really gutsy games, especially that game against Vegas. Very, very gutsy and very, a statement win for sure. So having them vault themselves back in is just quite frankly amazing. Right now, they are 1 point behind Vancouver for third spot, with the same amount of games played. They've got they're out of first place by 8 points, but they do have a game in hand. So that's a 3-game swing right there. Considering how bad this team was, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and Marty T mentioned it or Randy G just mentioned it earlier. Good Lord, their goal differential is -10, and not gonna lie, we mentioned it a few weeks ago. It was -24, so they've definitely got that. They've also gotten a lot more 5-on-5. I mean, granted, with 0 on the power play, all of these were 5-on-5 tonight, so definitely helps in their 5-on-5 gameplay. For sure. I forget where AJ. Where was your comment there? How funny would it be if Vegas did the opposite? The Sharks do well their first 2 seasons, then crap the bed in their 3rd season. I wouldn't mind at all.
No, I certainly wouldn't mind. And you know what? All I'm going to say is karma's a bitch.
Yep. Hockey Mom, thank you very much. $4 super chat. You're making your son blush, and that's terrific. So, so like 2 games. Yep. So super chat, you guys have been awesome. Appreciate it. Appreciate it immensely there. Hey, couple of things coming up. So we have the game on Wednesday night against Winnipeg. That's at home. Friday afternoon, Sharks and Kings, and then Saturday the Sharks are in Arizona taking on the Desert Dogs. Don't forget a viewing party as we take over stuffed pizza in the IBU tap room. That's at 1426 Dempsey Road in Milpitas. There'll be a hockey game on. There'll be a ton of Sharks fans. Pizza, prizes, giveaway, and perhaps we do After Dark live from there. We'll see. Not sure about the internet. I might have to bring my AOL connection over if that's the case. But definitely check that out. On the 30th at 5 p.m. is when the game starts. So be on the lookout for that one. And of course, don't forget. Uh-oh. And apparently Landy's flu has returned. So with that, I think that's our time to get on out of here. So Landy, before you cough up a luggy.
A lung, yeah.
Your final thoughts and where the people can find you.
Final thoughts are the Sharks have been playing some gutsy hockey lately, and it's good to see them buying back into the defensive systems. Really, really like to see that forward depth shored up and try to get them back to a little bit more of a consistent line rotation. And we've got some big games coming up that can really swing the momentum going into December. So the Sharks, I'd love to see them go, let's just say, in the next 3 games, I'd love to see them get a possible 5 points out of that. That would do wonders for them. And as far as where you can find me, you can use my first name, that's Eric spelled with a K the right way, and my last name, Landi, on all the social media garbage.
Yep, and I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and Instagram. You can find me there and tell me how wonderful I am or not. Either way, we'll be back with you on Wednesday night following the Sharks and Winnipeg Jets. It'll be game 2, game 2 of the West Side Story series. Sharks and Jets, gotta say this. Lanny brings up more phlegm than Garnet Hathaway. Heads up. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, you know what though? Just don't ban me, okay?
Yeah. All right. With that, let's get out of here. A one-timer saying EK65 starting to dance. JF, of course, would love a Vegas implosion.
Yeah, quickly on before we head out, you can definitely see Erik Karlsson getting more comfortable with the repaired groin. Again, it was kind of a gruesome injury, and kind of going into it, you can understand why he started off kind of slow. So it's good to see him with the twinkle toes.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, thanks, Hockey Mom. We appreciate both. Are wonderful. No, that's so cute of you. All right. Rob, no. All right.
Hey, I already spelled it once for you, so let's not do that again.
Yeah. In case you missed anything, you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher or viewer, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and more. So with that, we'll bring it to you a close. We'll be back with you on Wednesday night after the Sharks and Jets. And, of course, you can hit up all our content here. So until then, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you Wednesday.